Salutations everyone, what is this, a Call of Duty video? What is this, 2015? Yeah, it's been a long time since I posted a Call of Duty video. For those who don't know, my channel started as a Call of Duty channel for the first few years, and once COD started being god-awful, I stopped playing it, started playing other things. But we have a new COD, and we have a new game mode in Blackout, which is their Battle Royale answer. You know, we all should have seen this coming. Even before they announced it. Battle Royale is a new thing. Ever since kids started playing it on their Minecraft servers, it popped up in other games, and then other people took that idea, made PUBG, and other people took that idea, made Fortnite. Other people took the idea and failed with a bunch of other games, and now Activision, as well as EA, are giving it their go with their militaristic shooters in their own Battle Royale modes. And this one, you know, a bit of a Call of Duty twist on it, and I feel like it will kind of take PUBG out of the running. Sure, PUBG was the most downloaded game on Steam just last year, and Fortnite definitely quickly took over its spot as the #1 game in the world, and still retains that title right now. But if you saw the numbers for the Blackout beta time, they were pretty big. So I think Call of Duty is going to do pretty well. It's not going to be the primary reason for me to play the game. I'm more of a multiplayer kind of guy instead of this really slow paced, you know, not a lot happening all the time, you know, low valleys, high peaks kind of a thing. But it's kind of a fun little cherry on top. And for the most part, the Blackout beta was all right. You know, I've played other Battle Royale games, mostly Fortnite in the past. And, you know, with their own Call of Duty twist on it, they've added a lot of things to the genre, like consumable perks. We all know perks from Call of Duty of the past, and here they are back again, but none of them are too strong, and they're consumable, so they only last for, you know, like a minute or 30 seconds or so. Including some new ones that they made just for Blackout, like Paranoia, gives you an audio alert when you're targeted by an enemy. Skulker, move faster while crouched and prone. Outlander, reduce damage from circle, increased speed while taking damage from the circle. And we have Iron Lungs, which we've had before, allows you to hold your breath when you're longer when you're shooting your sniper rifle, as well as DMRs here. And also allows you to breathe longer when you're holding your breath underwater, because if you're holding your breath underwater for too long, you will take like 50 damage like a second. It's pretty brutal. And then Consumer reduces time it takes to use items, heal or revive teammates by 20%. And you also have Looter, which reveals nearby stashes and items. You also have some useless thing like Brawler, which increases your melee damage, which is only going to be useful if you land, and that's the first thing you see before you ever see a gun, and then someone comes up and tries to punch you, you'll beat them in a punch-out because you have Brawler active, but otherwise not so very useful. And there's some other ones, and I'm sure things will be changing on, you know, them adding more consumables and more weapons and attachments, but overall, the amount of things that they had in this beta was pretty decent. There was 125 items. You had 8 primary ammunition types, 12 equipment items, 17 consumable perks, 17 weapon attachments, 24 different weapons, and 3 tiers of health and armor. So the differences of the Call of Duty style to Battle Royale are going as follows. You know, obviously you're going to have infinite sprint, so that's definitely nice whenever we have a COD that allows us to sprint as much as we want. The map area that we were able to play had a bunch of maps from other Call of Duty games, other Black Ops games, and put them on this island. You have Estates, which is basically Raid from Black Ops 1. You have Hydro Dam, which is basically the dam from Black Ops 2. You have Firing Range, obviously from Black Ops 1, right in the middle in the Tilted Tower area, or, you know, school if you're a PUBG player. You have Nuketown Island, which is right off on the left, if you paused the video a couple of seconds earlier. It's on its own little island. It has a ton of good loot, but it's also isolated and has a little population sign, and it'll actually tell you in real time how many people are there. You have the things like Turbine, Rivertown, which seems to be its own thing unless it's from Black Ops 3. I didn't play a lot of Black Ops 3 because it sucked. Fracking Tower, Turbine, Cargo Docks, Asylum, which is a zombies map thrown right in there. Construction Site, Array, which is where I just came from, which is pseudo similar to the Array from Black Ops 1, but only in really the main area hub. Even then, a lot of changes. So, you know, they've made some changes to those maps to make them a bit wider, more accessible, hold a lot of loot, and be quite fun at times. I do have some gripes about it. Overall, it was okay. I just feel like it was a bit slower and less to do, less people to shoot than, say, a Fortnite. The most kills I ever got in a game was 9, and this is my second most with an 8. Spoilers, I get 8 kills here, and I also get 8th place. I don't win. I didn't win a game. I had 2 second place finishes, but they weren't exciting as this one, so I chose to use this one because more kills, more action, more moving around and stuff. So there's just not a lot of people to shoot. There were some areas that were quite stingy on loot, and sometimes I would land somewhere, you know, in a named area, and there was no guns, you know. Some of that is RNG, and some of that I feel like is they should just put more stuff in certain areas. Like, for instance, train station, loot everywhere, right? But if you landed on, say, construction site, you need to land in a portable or in one of, like, the 2 buildings, otherwise you're just not going to get any loot. Or if you land in Asylum, you're going to have to get there quickly or find one of, like, the 2 guns they have in the garden. You know, Turbine. There's just some areas that were just lacking weapons of any sort, which I felt like was easily preventable. But most often, the amount of loot and what kind of loot we found, I thought was pretty decent, especially for a beta where they didn't have time to really figure things out. There was some things that they definitely need to change, like ammo should be automatic pickup. You know, it doesn't take up a ton of space. And oh, here we have a level 3 armored loser. He gets taken out due to my drop shotting skills from Modern Warfare 2. Yeah, ammo should be automatic pickup. That's just easy. That's a brain dead move that you need to make. That's an automatic thing you need to have. But here, when everyone dies, they drop this little bag that you have to sift through. You know, if everything was dropped on the ground like it is in Fortnite, it would have to have enough space so you don't accidentally pick up what you don't want to pick up. And obviously guns will have attachments which you can take off and put on whatever gun you do want or replace with another attachment you find. It felt like the attachment system was all right. It wasn't super slow. It's a lot faster than it is on the PUBG menus, even with a mouse and keyboard, yes, even with that. And being able to switch things on the fly, the UI was pretty smooth and it wasn't complicated at all. It was no learning curve whatsoever. You knew exactly what to do. The health items were self-explanatory, very, very simple. You also have like a trauma kit, which is what I'm trying to pick up here. Which overcharges your normal health, which is 150 to 200. And, you know, they're quite rare, like, you know, like a chug jug or something like that. And, well, actually more like slurp juices as far as commonality goes. But the health system I thought was okay. It's the armor system that I think everyone can agree is a hot bag of bullshit. Tier 3 armor is super duper broken, and everyone can agree it needs to be taken out of the game. It's what I killed that last guy. The last guy had tier 3 armor, but he like basically didn't shoot at me, so I won that fight. So if it was an even gunfight, or if even it was slightly in my favor, I'll lose that fight 10 times out of 10 because level 3 armor just gives you an insane amount of health, and especially if you don't have a very good gun for the right range, you'll get slaughtered. If we were further away, and even if he had an SMG and I had an AR, I'll still lose that fight because he can just out-sustain me. It's way more annoying and stupid than Juggernaut or Final Stand or Painkiller ever could be, and it's just broken. It needs to be taken out of the game. Everyone can agree on that. People are saying take tier 3 out and keep tier 2 in, but only put it in the big drops, like either the sky drops from that during the match, or in the big chests, which you saw me get to in the beginning. And I would go a step further and say no armor at all. Call of Duty, at least some Call of Duties, you know, like Black Ops 1 or 2, the good ones, did a very good job on time to kill, reaction, gun skill, and gun balance, for the most part. If you had enough skill, you would win 90% of the gunfights you were involved in, especially if it was a fair fight, right? But not so much if there's tier 3 armor or if there's super OP guns. Now there are zombie spots, which will make it unique, and I'm sure people will love it. I'm sure I'm the minority in this of not liking the zombie spots. up to 2 places on the map at a time will have light beacons. It's a big blue beacon of light, just like in Minecraft. You can't miss it. I think I actually walk right by one here pretty quickly. Yeah, they're right behind that tree. And that will mark a zombie spot. And those zombie spots will have a bunch of zombies. Well, actually not a bunch. A few zombies and some really good loot. And I understand rewarding people for putting themselves in danger. The zombies are pretty fast. They don't exactly die in 2 bullets or anything like that. But the rewards that you're given, like usually a tier 3 armor or a Zweihander, which is like a helicopter gun. It's basically 0 recoil. It's like 300 rounds with 100 rounds to a magazine. Maybe it was 150, can't remember. No recoil, insane range, and will melt through anything. Unless you have a Zweihander, you're most likely not going to kill someone in tier 3 armor if they're looking at you and pointing their gun in your direction. But that doesn't mean that the Zweihander should be in the game. There's also a ray gun, which if you're familiar with zombies, you should be familiar with the ray gun. I only saw that a couple times, and I don't know how good or strong it may or may not be, so I can't comment on that. I just would just like this to be gone. Those guns are way too strong, and you know there's only going to be a couple of spots on the map where it's going to be, possibly, but that's just dumb. It's way too strong for the little amount of effort and skill that are required in order to get it, and will put every single fight in your favor, even if you're outgunned and outmanned. I was playing with somebody, he had this Zweihander, and he was able to mow down people who had all the best guns with the best attachments and even really high armor, and he would just mow through them no matter what. And that's just not fair. So that needs to be taken out. I would argue that tier 2 and even tier 1 needs to be taken out. I'm fine with maybe tier 1 just staying as a sort of a rare bonus that's, doesn't take up a spot, but is always going to be helpful, right? I just want that to be gone. Another thing I would like to be gone, the vehicles aren't as bad as they could have been, but the helicopter needs to go. The ATV is fine. It's nice at getting you, to the zone that you need to get to faster, and doesn't offer you any offensive advantages, and it's very loud, and people are going to see you coming, and it's not that hard to bip somebody off of one. I've done one. There's also a truck that you'll see in just a bit later on, where there's one driver and everyone else is in the truck bed. It can hold up to 4 people in the truck bed, I think. So it's a bit slower, a bit louder, and a bit of an easier target, but it'll help you get places faster. So I feel like those 2 are fine. But and there's a boat that I never saw anyone use, which is fine. Best way to get through rivers, right? But the helicopter, which are only going to spawn at a couple of places, so you know where to look, obviously, is just too powerful. Not because it has guns on it or anything. It's just that you're safe. You're not going to get killed. Sure, there are rocket launchers on the map. I don't know if they're locked on, but you never want to pick up a rocket launcher in Call of Duty. That's just dumb. And here, watch me take out the guy driving by. A Wahan, he's got armor. Tahoo, for 3. And that felt pretty good, not gonna lie. Thankfully I had a sniper rifle. I feel like sniper rifles are gonna be the meta in late game, especially if you're in a wide open area. And the fact that there's bullet drop and you have to lead your shot now in Call of Duty, which you've never had to before. And so that's something that's gonna take a little bit of getting used to. 200 yards, your assault rifle is gonna do nothing, especially if the enemy has armor. And even if you land headshots, if they have a sniper, they're just going to win that fight, even if they're not the best shot in the world. So maybe there should be more snipers, or maybe I would say have more locations. This place is just a bit too sparse. There's not enough places here for me. If you're going to go COD all the way. There's not some nice new things that they added to it to give it that Call of Duty flavor, but there's just, if you're going to go the Battle Royale route, why do what everyone else does and have 99% of the map super duper empty and boring? There's also not enough people for me. It was 88 players for the most part. They did end up increasing it at 100 at the last day of the beta just to test it out. I feel like it has to be at least 100 because there's almost nobody to ever kill in any of these games. My average kills was 3, and I would usually finish in the top 20. My highest was 9, obviously my lowest was 0, and that happened quite a few times, especially if you landed and couldn't find a gun. There were some places where it wasn't that good with gun placements, but there needs to be more action, and I think that's one of the things that Call of Duty can do better than other places where you have to worry about more management of things like building and resources and stuff like that. So There's a lot of things I think are okay with this mode, and there's things glaring problems. This guy's at the high ground. Maybe he has a sniper. It was either a sniper or a DMR because he takes me out right there with a couple of bullets. So yeah, the metagame at the end is definitely going to be having a long-range weapon, most likely like a Koshka or whatever sniper I had right there. And if you're in a helicopter, all you have to do is stay in the sky and just go to where the gas isn't, and you'll automatically get a top 5 because no one's going to shoot you down. Yes, the pilot can get headshot and you could crash. You can also jump out and you'll be fine. Or you can get shot by a rocket. But there's no reason to pick up rockets in Call of Duty because they're not very good, and you can only hold 2 weapons. And since you're going to want to have something long range and something more medium or close range, there's no reason to ever pick up a rocket launcher. So I feel like the helicopters need to be taken out. I know for a fact that they won't, but you can just stay in the sky for the whole game and just wait till it gets to the end and easily get like a top 5 or a top 3 finish just because you got in a helicopter at the beginning of the game. So it's just way too safe, and I like more skill to be necessary to do well in a game, which is something that some Call of Duties have done very, very well in the past in their multiplayers. And I think with their Battle Royale game mode, they can implement more of that than other Battle Royale games can feature in their games. So those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys thought. Overall, it was pretty decent. There's going to be, challenges to unlock different cosmetics and characters to play as, which is fine and dandy. Always nice to have things to look forward and build to, but more locations, no helicopters, no armor, and more people. And I think you have the best Battle Royale experience possible at this juncture. But until then, it'll just be all right and knock a few games out of their seats as it is right now.